A 2020 international is a form of cricket, played between two of the top members of the International Cricket Council, in which each team faces 20 overs. The matches have major status and the highest T20 standard. The game is played under the rules of 2020 cricket. The shortened format was initially introduced to bolster crowds for the domestic game, and was not intended to be played internationally. But the first 2020 International took place on the 17th of February 2005 when Australia defeated New Zealand, and the first tournament was played 2 years later, with the introduction of the ICC World Twenty20. There remain limits on how many 2020 internationals a team can play each year, in order to protect Test cricket and one-day internationals. As of 2016, there are 18 nations that feature in ICC T20 team rankings. The shorter format of the game makes reaching the traditional milestones of scoring a century or taking 5 wickets in an innings more difficult, and few players have achieved these. The highest individual score in a 2020 international is 156, made by Australia's Aaron Finch against England in 2013, while Sri Lanka's Ajana Mendis is the only bowler to have taken 6 wickets in an innings, and fewer than 20 players have taken 5 wickets in an innings. Origins. Cricket itself was probably first played in England in the late Middle Ages, but it did not rise to prominence until the 18th century. A set of laws were drawn up in 1744, and the game achieved a level of relative standardization by the late 19th century. One-day cricket was trialled in 1962, and the first domestic tournament played the following year, and in 1971, England and Australia contested the first one-day international. The match consisted of 1 innings for each side, with 48 ball overs. In the 1990s, a number of countries were exploring the possibility of a shorter game still. In New Zealand, Martin Crowe developed Cricket Max, in which each team bats for 10 8-ball overs, while in Australia they considered an 8-a-side contest they dubbed Super 8s. At the same time, the England and Wales Cricket Board conducted consumer research, and proposed the idea of a 20 overs per side contest, which would last for about 3 hours. The first match was played in 2003 between Hampshire and Sussex. History. The first 2020 international match between two men's sides was played on the 17th of February 2005, involving Australia and New Zealand. Wisden Cricketer's Almanac reported that neither side took the game especially seriously, and it was noted by ESPN Cricket furthered but for a large score for Ricky Ponting, the concept would have shut it. 2 further matches were played that year. England beat Australia in June, and South Africa were defeated by New Zealand in October. Early the following year, a contest between New Zealand and the West Indies finished as the first tied match, and a tie-break was played for the first time in men's international cricket. The two sides took part in a bowl-out to determine a winner. New Zealand won 3-0. The game had initially been developed to boost the interest in domestic cricket, and to aid this the international teams were only allowed to host 3 T20s each year. The cricket manager for the ICC, David Richardson, also commented that part of the success of 2020 cricket is making sure it can coexist with Test cricket and one-days. Despite this, the first international tournament was held in 2007 in South Africa, the 2007 ICC World Twenty20. The tournament was won by India, who defeated the close rivals Pakistan in the final. Writing for The Guardian, Dilip Premachandran suggested that the competition's success meant that the format is here to stay. The next tournament was scheduled for 2009, and it was decided that they would take place biannually. In the opening match of the 2007 World Twenty20, Chris Gayle scored the first century in a T20 T20I, the achievement being reached in the 20th match of the format. The 500th T20I match was contested between Ireland and the United Arab Emirates at the Sheikh Zayed Stadium, Abu Dhabi on 16 February 2016. Current international rankings. Teams with T20I status. The 10 test-playing nations have permanent T20I status. The nations are listed below with the date of each nation's T20I debut shown in brackets: New Zealand, Australia, England, South Africa, West Indies, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Zimbabwe, India. Since 2005, the ICC has granted temporary ODI and T20I status to 6 other teams. Teams earn this temporary status for a period of 4 years based on the performance in the quadrennial ICC World Cricket League, or, more specifically, based on the top 6 finishing positions at the ICC World Cup qualifier, which is the final event of the World Cricket League. On the 28th of June 2014, the ICC granted T20I status to Nepal and Netherlands, both of whom qualified for and took part in the 2014 ICC World Twenty20, but had both failed to retain ODI status. The following 8 teams currently have this status: Scotland, Ireland, Netherlands, Afghanistan, Hong Kong, United Arab Emirates, Papua New Guinea, Oman. 4 other associate nations have held temporary ODI and T20I status as a result of World Cricket League performances, before being relegated after underperforming at the World Cup, a World 2020 qualifier. Kenya, Canada, Bermuda, Nepal. Cricket.The international multi-sport events. Cricket was played as part of the 1900 Summer Olympics, when England and France contested a 2-day match. In 1998, cricket was played as part of the Commonwealth Games, on this occasion in the 50-over format. There was some talk about 2020 cricket being part of the 2010 Commonwealth Games, which were held in Delhi, but at the time the Board of Control for Cricket in India were not in favour of the short format of the game, and it was not included. Cricket was played in 2010 Asian Games in Guangzhou, China, and 2014 Asian Games in Incheon, South Korea. India skipped both times. There was further calls for subsequent Commonwealth Games and Olympic Games. The Commonwealth Games Federation asked the ICC to participate in the 2014 and 2018 Commonwealth Games, but the ICC turned down the invitation. In 2010, the International Olympic Committee recognized cricket as a sport which could apply to be included in the Olympic Games, but in 2013, the ICC announced that it had no intentions to make such an application, primarily due to opposition from the BCCI. ESPN Cricinfo suggested that the opposition might be based on the possible loss of income. In April 2016, ICC Chief Executive David Richardson said that 2020 cricket can have a chance of getting in for the 2024 Summer Games, but there must be collective support shown by the ICC's membership base, in particular from BCCI, in order for there to be a chance of inclusion. Statistics. The highest team total in a T20I was made by Sri Lanka in 2007. Facing Kenya, they scored 260 runs for the loss of 6 wickets, also granting them the largest winning margin. The lowest total also came in a match involving Sri Lanka. In 2014, the Netherlands were bowled out for just 39 runs against them. The highest successful chase was made in early 2015, when the West Indies scored 236 runs to overhaul South Africa's target and win the match. Brendan McCullum has accrued the most runs in the format, and is the only batsman to have scored more than 2,000 1,000 runs. He is one of less than 20 players to have scored a century in T20 years, and as of February 2015, the only one to have done so twice. The highest total in a T20 though was scored by Aaron Finch, who totaled 156 runs in a match against England in 2013. 3 Pakistani bowlers lead the records for the most wickets, each having taken over 80 in T20 years: Saeed Ajmal, Umar Gul and Shahid Afridi. Similarly, Sri Lanka's Ajana Mendes has recorded the best 2 set of bowling figures in T20 years, and is the only bowler to have taken 6 wickets in a match, doing so against both Zimbabwe in 2012 and Australia in 2011. Virat Kohli is the fastest cricketer to score 1,000 runs in 2020 internationals in 27 innings.